So I come out here into the hall under the stairs because it's a really nice light out here. The window is over there and the sun comes up over there, so there's always quite light out here, but it's cold because it's not heated. We've got curtains here that block this off from the rest of the house so that all the heat's the other side of the curtains. But for this short video, I thought I'd come and sit here. Just before I was whisked off last week, I started doing more Fast 800 meals because we wanted to get back on track after being in the UK. And after a couple of days, I weighed myself because I decided, not coming back from the UK, oh God, I'm not going to look at the scales, because if you look at the scales and you're not planning on doing anything about it, then you're just depressing yourself. I think looking at the scales when you're ready to do something about it is a way of measuring your start point, and you're already motivated and inspired. So I waited a couple of days after I put us back to a more healthy regime, and was at the weight I was at when we left for the UK. And I was at the weight I was at in March this year, which is 4 weeks after we stopped the official 800 regime, which we'd done for 12 weeks. So then obviously we stopped the regime and we enjoyed some things that we'd not been able to have for 12 weeks. And I put on a couple of kilos. But having monitored it and monitoring it throughout the year, it's like, I know I can do something about it. And I have done something about it in between March and now. And then we went to the UK. And then I went into hospital. So there's always little things that come along and you have a bit of a blip. But our intention is to carry on eating, following the ideas of the regime. And we were trying to work out when we should start again, because I went shopping just for we'd run out of butter and I needed a few extra bits. And then my daughter and her partner are coming for lunch tomorrow, and I just thought I'd buy some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, 2 tubs. We went eat 2 tubs. I've told her to sort dessert out because I didn't know when I'd be home. And I noticed that Mark had got a packet of crisps in the larder, which I don't. They wouldn't be crisps I'd like, so I had to buy myself a packet of crisps. So we both got a packet of crisps, and then we were on our way home from my bit of shopping, and we were talking about breakfast, and we were discussing the breakfast that I was served yesterday. That was really the saddest breakfast I've ever seen, and he was saying, well, we don't know what people have for breakfast. We don't know what they have here for breakfast in France. There's the whole myth around croissant and pain au chocolat and all of that. But actually we don't know, because we were talking about the bowl of coffee. And of course the bowl of coffee was for me to dip my bread in. Well, there was no effing way I was going to taint my coffee with breadcrumbs. But that's probably what the bowl of coffee was for. And he said, well, maybe we don't know. And I said, well, we don't have breakfast with people. We've never sat and had breakfast with our French friends. Maybe I'm going to invite myself for breakfast one day. But anyway, we'd got some of the way home, and I said to him, oh, we could have pain au chocolat and croissant today, because we don't eat breakfast normally. And this was like 10:30, and we could have pain au chocolat. And so he had to do a U-turn. Which was another conversation we had some months back or some weeks back, when the sat nav was taking us around the outskirts of Lincoln, and but that's another story anyway. So he made a U-turn, and we went back to the boulangerie, and we got 2 boulangeries in the town, and there's one that is the better boulangerie, which is awful really, because I feel bad when that's closed and I go to the bottom one. All of her business, suddenly she gets loads of business because the other one's shut. But the one at the top, there's sort of one at the bottom in a square, and there's one at the top above a small car parking area, and that does the most delicious pain au chocolat, because there's two bars of 2 strips of chocolate through it, whereas the one at the bottom's only got 1 strip. And they're just much bigger and lighter and much nicer pain pastry, if it's called pastry. So yeah, we went and had that, brought those home, and Mark has croissant with marmalade or orange confiture, because I couldn't find marmalade the other day when I was out. And we're going to have coronation chicken sandwiches later, because I've got the chicken out that I cooked before I went into hospital. I got that out last night to defrost, so I'll make that into coronation chicken. And that wasn't what I was going to vlog about at all. Food, being home. Oh yeah, so we talked about how long could we stretch the celebration of me being home. I think we'll probably stretch it all weekend with Joe and Jerome coming tomorrow and cooking, and Joe's bringing dessert and I've got ice cream. So maybe, I think Monday we'll be back to following the regime, because I would like, I mean, I need to lose probably as much as I lost over the 3 months, at least. It would be amazing. I would probably still be classed as obese. At the moment, I'm morbidly obese, and I look pretty morbid about it, as you can see. I've been morbidly obese according to, well, I don't know, according to the BMI measurements, since my, on and off since my 30s. There's been a couple of times where I have lost weight. I lost weight late 30s, just before I separated from my first husband, because I decided that, well, I lost my job. The company I worked for went into receivership, liquidation, and I lost my company car. So I decided to walk. So and I had nothing to do, so I was walking every day, and I walked. I don't know how many miles it was a day into town and back, and then I was childminding, and as a stopgap before I started my nurse training. So I was walking really to keep Charlotte pacified, because, you know, toddlers need a bit of entertaining. So we walk into town, and so I was walking, and I think I was following Rosemary Connolly. It was a low-fat diet. So, you know, like, you took the skin off your chicken. I still do that mostly. And so I was eating that sort of food, and I did lose weight. And when I went to college, I was really, I don't know, I'd lost quite a bit of weight. And then, of course, being at college and odd hours and lectures at odd hours, and, you know, students' union and easy food, a big bap full of food, or a potato with tuna and sweet corn. But, you know, that sort of food. And I gradually put on some weight, I think. But then I bought a bike and I cycled. So I was at college. I wasn't going to talk to you about this either, but it's just moved on to that. I'll talk about random. I was at college. My sister used to take me to college because she was there. She'd started her training a year before me. So she would take me, or other people would drive me, or I would cycle to the station, get on a train, and then cycle from the station. And then once I'd qualified, I cycled to work for shift work, and that was probably a couple of miles each way, some of it uphill on the way to work. So I did that for quite a while. So I maintained fitness and probably maintained some health, and I can't remember how. I don't think I was very big. I don't think I might have been obese according to BMI, but not morbidly obese. And then a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who I had spent part of my training with under her wing. She wasn't my supervisor. Mark was my supervisor. But I was working with her and facilitating a women's group. And she and her husband had moved to Spain, and they'd used a car to take an Audi, an old Audi 80, left-hand drive. Hold on, left-hand drive. The side I drive now, I can never remember what side I drive. If I were driving over here, is it left-hand drive? It is left. An old left-hand drive Audi, which they took all their furniture in and on and everything, drove it down all the way down through France, down to Spain. And then they didn't want it. They didn't need it. And it was an old car. It was an old Audi. It was lovely. And she gifted it to me. It was so like, oh my God, that didn't happen in my life. It wasn't my experience. She was a psychotherapy colleague. So, the people I met doing my psychotherapy training were just very, very different to the people I grew up with. So she, she, do you want it? We don't want it anymore. You can have it. And at that time, I had very little money. I just finished my training. I was living on my own, trying to buy my own house, flat. And I'm gifted an Audi 80, which I loved, and I kept it for a long time. And I think, I drove down to Devon in it. When Mark and I moved to Devon together, I drove down to Devon in it and kept it until I decided to go and see. I wasn't going to tell you this either. Was really struggling down in the job that I finally got down there. It was just so different to what I'd been doing in Kent. And in Kent, I'd been working with adults who really mostly wanted to feel well and wanted to have what we were giving. And I ended up working in an adolescent unit with adolescents that wanted me to fuck off. And that was just so difficult to work out how I could work with people and give what I had to people that didn't want it and really didn't want to know. I really struggled with that. So I went to see a psychotherapist. I thought I'm going to go and get some support, see a psychotherapist, but she wasn't the psychotherapist that I was used to. And long story short, she persuaded me that, if I wanted to have my own practice in Devon and I needed to create a state, I needed to look the part. So she persuaded me that, I needed a better looking car. Bitch. So I sold my Audi 80 on eBay for €100, £100, and bought myself through one of those car supermarket places a small Polo, which was fine, but it was just, it was a small Polo, and I always missed the Audi 80. The Audi 80 came to France and spent time going backwards and forwards into the village after coming up a long driveway, going and picking up wine. I don't know what's happened to it. I mean, it's years ago. I'm talking back in 2002, 2003. So I missed it. We had fun in the Audi 80 with me in the left-hand drive. We'd have Mark in the passenger seat, and of course we'd be going around a roundabout, and he'd got hanging in his garage, he'd got a steering wheel from another car, and I said we really ought to bring that with us one day and hang it out the window as we go roundabout, and you screaming like, oh my God, my steering wheel's come off, because I was pulled over. There was a police check going on somewhere on the way out of Canterbury one evening, and I'd got my friend with me in the car, and they pulled us into this area where they were pulling cars into, and walked up to the passenger window and started talking to my friend in the car, and it took them ages to realise that they weren't talking to the driver. So there, anyway, so this weekend we're going to enjoy food and celebrate, and then we'll stop on Monday and go back to Fast 800 inspired food. And I was going to talk to you about moving over here with an English registered car, and how that works or not works. And I'm not going to do that now, because I've gone on for nearly a quarter of an hour about none of that. And I'll do it another time. So you've got that to look forward to. If you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll definitely do it. But for now, I need to wait another hour maybe before I have my coronation chicken sandwiches. And thanks for listening. Again, see you soon.